this is bull. This is a bunch of crap. We're in a system where we're obliged to dispense opiate, and opiate aren't really the true key to help people resolve their pain. And so I went on this whole journey of trying to find what is energy medicine, what is compassion, what is love, and what is the technology of radionics and PMF technology and red light therapy, and how do we put all of that together and find something that is truly effective to help people relieve their aches and pain and find that unconditional love and peace in their heart, so that way their conscious mind will changes how they interpret the intensity of the pain. So it was more of the mind-body psychosomatic part of the pain that we went after versus trying to say, hey, this is your pain, this is the mechanism on the physical level. We're just not trying to block their nerve or reduce the inflammation or cause muscle relaxant type of situation like regular pain pills.
So you were a pharmacist, you owned this pharmacy for years. You're getting shut down by the DEA, but you still want to help people and you want to get them off pain pills. And so you start on this journey, as you called it, to explore other ways to come up with something that could help people. Where would you even start? You're a pharmacist. You know pills and creams, and you know how to compound things and mix them and come up with stuff.
Yeah, it's
How did you come up with this? I'm Dr. Larry Burchett, and as I see every day in the ER, life can change in a moment. On this show, we tell the stories that matter most, after which our lives are never the same. We got a great guest for you today, Dr. TK Huynh, pharmacist, entrepreneur. Welcome to the show.
well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You and I met at CHS Consumer Health Summit, the Michael Fishman Conference in Arizona.
Correct.
We got to chatting, and you've got some stories that are worth telling. You have some great stories.
Lots of stories.
Yeah, no, you really do have some good stories. Let's get into them.
Yeah.
So you're a pharmacist.
Correct.
Are you still a pharmacist?
I'm still a pharmacist.
Technically.
Technically, yes. Still licensed in the state of California.
You're still licensed.
Yes.
And do you have a pharmacy now?
Not anymore.
You used to, right?
I used to own an independent compounding pharmacy.
Would you tell me a little bit about that and what happened?
Yeah. I came from corporate. I was a corporate employee for a big chain pharmacy, and I realized quickly within the first year of working for the corporate pharmacy that I didn't want it to treat people like numbers. I wanted to know people by their name, and so I stepped down, and then before you know it, I opened up my own independent pharmacy because that's what I wanted.
What do you do as a corporate pharmacist? I don't know what that entails.
Well, in the district that I was in, I run 47 pharmacy for Walgreens. And so I was
You were like
person,
a pharmacist overseeing.
Yes, the supervisor for all the pharmacy in my district.
So what do you do as a supervising pharmacist for Walgreens?
I go around, make sure that the numbers are correct, the employees are happy, making sure that there's plenty of pharmacists recruiting technicians, basically running the business of the pharmacy. And
sounds like kind of a manager over all of these pharmacies.
Correct. Yeah, I was there, and then.
How long did you do that?
I did that for about a year and a half.
Was there like some specific examples that you remember where you're like, this is not what I want to do?
Yeah, actually I do. In 2008, when the stock market just crashed and everybody was losing half of their 401k, the goal of Walgreens was to save everybody's 401k, and how were they going to do that and save the stock price for the shareholder. And the way that they were going to do that was dramatically cut the hours of employees, pharmacists and technician, and they were going to cut everybody by half to take away that money and make everybody somehow work harder and faster. So there was a bit of a liability issue going on, and then they
liability
wanted,
as a pharmacist of doing things too fast, or putting the wrong medication.
Too much pressure, too much stress. And so I didn't want it to be a part of that. And what they wanted me to do as part of my job is to go out and write up anyone who makes mistakes, discipline my employees, and document that they made the mistake. So if there's anything happened, then we have 3 documentations so we can fire them.
So you could fire them, and then also they could blame them if there was any liability.
Yeah, in many ways that was where they were heading, and so I didn't want to be a part of that, and so I slowly told them that I'm gonna step down from my position and just become a regular pharmacist. Before you know it, I opened up my own independent pharmacy. And
now that must have been hard, right? I mean, were you worried, like, how are you going to make money, and walking away from that was probably a secure job, good paycheck?
It was $250,000 salary job.
Wow.
Basically.
Did you have a family at that time?
4 kids.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we pretty much took our saving and whatever we had and invested in an independent pharmacy. And our parents was like, "Are you crazy? You're leaving a stable job with good income.
I bet.
And you're gonna try to compete against the whole world in terms of chain pharmacy. You got Rite Aid and CVS and Target and Walmart and Walgreens all surrounding you."
Oh, so you opened your own pharmacy.
Yeah.
Not one of these big chains.
Correct. I opened up my own.
What was the pharmacy
called? It was Script Life Pharmacy. It was in Fresno, California, and we were inside a doctor complex. There was about 30 prescribers in that complex. It was a great place for us to be. We quickly got to know the doctors and the patient in that community. It's my community, my neighborhood too. So I live in that neighborhood, and so we quickly got to know the doctors, and then pretty much all the doctors in Fresno and Clovis. We got to know the majority of them because I went out and introduced myself to each one of these doctors as to who I am. And the majority of them said that they have never met their pharmacist in real life. And so
I don't think I have.
So we built up great relationship, and part of that relationship was the doctor's office was spending a lot of their time doing, such as prior authorization, trying to get medication approved through insurance. And they don't understand the whole process and the whole system. And so we assisted them in doing that. So we built a lot of great relationship, and we became the go-to pharmacy. Not only on top of that, in order for us to compete, we had to think about what was the niche that we needed to compete in. And so there wasn't a lot of compounding pharmacy. There was only one compounding pharmacy in our valley.
What does compounding pharmacy mean?
Compounding pharmacy is basically where there are very specific needs of a patient, and there isn't a drug available, or the dosage or the dosage form of that drug is not available. And then the doctor can write a prescription for that, and the pharmacist then can make that medication.
Like you can mix them?
Yes, mix and add stuff in to make a tablet, a capsule, or suppository, or a topical cream for that specific patient. And so we got trained in that and quickly grew our pharmacy. We were growing as fast as we can because of just building out that relationship. And I grew up in Section 8 housing, so I knew, and also practicing as a pharmacist in the Valley, I knew there was a lot of discrimination against minority patient in terms of where they go, how they look, what they dress, or how much they have in their pocket. So I didn't want that. So I made relationship with doctor on the east side and the west side, and everybody else who said, hey, if you need help with any patient, we're here to help them.
Yeah.
And so we built out these great relationships in our community, started doing compounding, started doing bioidentical hormones, and then I got my fellowship in functional anti-aging medicine with the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And so we became the go-to pharmacy in terms of resolving prescription problem, but also resolving difficult patient medical problem. Just teaching them about lifestyle, about supplements and changes in their health and their environment and all that stuff. So we quickly grew and
as a pharmacy, that's interesting, talking about lifestyle stuff. Typically, I think of a pharmacy as that's where you get your meds dispensed.
Correct. And
that's kind of a new thing.
We realized that in order to get a patient healthier and better, we can't just have them be dependent on their medication or prescription. And one of the problems we see is that once a patient get on one medication, we thought that was going to help them, but before you know it, they're on 3, 4, 5 in a few years, and they have this problem of having one side effect after another, and then we're chasing another medication with
polypharmacy, too many meds.
And so it was, how do we change their lifestyle? How do we explain to them about their health and exercise and habits and teach them that? But one other thing was that we were so indiscriminate of who we pick as patients. So everybody in the community come, and before you know it, we were dispensing way too much pain medication, way too much opiates. We try to say, hey, you're on this medication, we can compound a pain cream for you with these prescription ingredients.
So let me stop you before you get to that. I want to ask you a couple questions. Over how much time did it take you to build up this pharmacy practice?
7 years.
So you put a lot of time. There's a lot of risk. You put in a lot of your savings, and it sounds like you were a really smart businessman about this. You focused on relationships. I remember when I had my practice, in residency, I had my own patients. Prior auths were the worst. Hey, I want to give you this medication. It's like, nope, insurance or the government won't pay for it. You have to jump through all these hoops to make it happen.
Correct.
There's a delay, so frustrating. So that's really smart that you were able to help those doctors with that process. Hearing that, I would be like, oh, you're going to solve that problem for me? Done. I will give you my prescriptions. That was really smart.
Yeah, it was like, how do we build a relationship that would be a win for the patient, first of all, and then a win for the office because we're helping them save their time and their resource, and then a win for our business because we gain the trust of the doctor and the patient.
Sure.
And
very smart business side to you.
Yeah, and so we realized that we were dispensing way too much opiate, and then I went on this whole journey of multiple things happening that collide me into trying to find a better solution to help people as an adjunct or as a single product to be able to help them use to help manage their pain.
To treat their pain, yeah.
Treat their pain without at least going to the opiate first. And so we went on this whole thing.
Let me ask you, I know what we're building to. You're jumping into it, and I want you to tell this story.
Yes.
I want to get a little more before we get there. Why did you want to be a pharmacist? What did you like about that? How did you want to help people? Why pharmacy?
I actually, growing up, I wanted to be a pediatrician, and I got accepted to UC Davis right after high school, and I realized I didn't have money to go to UC Davis, so I went to a community college, and then my girlfriend at that time went to Boston for pharmacy school, so I went over to Boston and lived with her, and I still wanted to go to medical school, so I went to Massachusetts College over there in Boston, and I was working in the emergency room at Tufts New England Medical Clinic and their medical specialty. For 4 years, I was working in the emergency room and the other clinics and stuff, and then
What were you doing in there, in the ER?
Doing registration in the emergency room and stuff like that. But the doctor knew that I wanted to go to medical school, so the majority of the time they'll let me come in and watch really cool
Get
trauma
some
one
experience.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was gonna apply for tough medical school, and I have so much influence from the doctors there. They're like, is this what you want to do? Is this really what you want to do? Because
they were telling you you shouldn't go into medicine.
Yeah, because they said all you do is work, but you're just regulated by the insurance, and you can't really practice medicine the way you want it to, because everything's going to be evolved what the insurance tell you you can do and cannot do. And so I had a little bit of a change of heart, and I applied to pharmacy school because my girlfriend at the time was in pharmacy school, and I got accepted to pharmacy school and ended up being a pharmacist, and a very compassionate one at that too. And I quickly go back to where we were at, just growing that pharmacy, and one day.
What did you see? So this is part two of this question that's going to build up to your moment. About what year was this?
This was 19. Let's see, where were we at? 19. This is about 15.
2015?
2015, yeah.
So this is like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
So you've built up a good pharmacy practice. And what are you seeing with regard to pain pills and opiates and Oxycontin and Vicodin and all this stuff?
See, when we were in pharmacy school, we were taught that whatever the pain is, you chase the mechanism of the pain, and then there's the prescription pill for that mechanism, and then you can give them single or you can give them double by looking at different mechanism and how do you treat that pain. And we believe that, and we believe that we were under-treating our pain patient population because they're suffering, they're having a lot of pain, and the only option was these opiates medication, and there was that big addiction issue. And so before you know it, there is this education. We're like, hey, we're under-treating, and so the doctors are writing and we're dispensing, and then before you know, it's like, oh, we have this big problem.
What did you see as a pharmacist of that? Because I want to echo that, because when I went to medical school and residency, we were feared that you could get sued, that the state of California mandated for continuing medical education, there was only one topic you had to do every year, and that was pain. They made pain the fifth vital sign. There was this big push, whatever it was, 15, 20 years ago, exactly what you said. We're under-treating pain, we got to do more of it. And so we were kind of scared into it, and I practiced in a county setting. You could see really fast that there was an addiction problem, that people got hooked on it, and you're like, this is crazy talk. Yeah, you want to be able to treat people's pain, but something to me felt intuitive that I was like, this is too much. This is not.
Yeah.
But we were so, I don't want to say brainwashed, it's a pendulum swings, you know?
Yeah.
And that was that period of time where it was like, because you don't want to undertreat somebody's pain when it's genuine, real pain, as opposed to, is it addiction, pseudo-addiction, chronic pain, it's a very complicated thing. Of course, looking back now, it's obvious, but I was right in the middle of that thing too.
Yeah.
So what did you see as a pharmacist? Like, is it like, oh, 1 year we're prescribing, you're dispensing X Oxycontin, and then every year it's like doubling or getting bigger, or what did you see?
It was like, okay, well, they come in for chronic pain, and generally we were taught they need to be on a chronic pain pill, like the Oxycontin for 12-hour release or whatever those other 12 hours, and then they're gonna need an immediate release for breakthrough pain.
Right.
So they'll need those two, and then they'll need a muscle relaxant. they'll need an anti-anxiety, and then before you know, they're on 4 or 5 pills, and that was what was written on the prescription. And as a pharmacist, you really can't really call the doctor and say, hey, I don't believe in what you're doing. You could do that, but then
they're going to send it somewhere else.
Yeah, and so you become the problem pharmacist or pharmacy in the hospital and in the community, and so it was like there has been time where there was confrontation between the pharmacy and the doctors, just trying to make some changes, and it never works out in terms of the favor, because we don't have the control as a pharmacy. We do have the control that we can refuse the patient, and we didn't use a lot of that good judgment sometime where we should have. And so that's kind of like where it is, and it's like we're kind of in that flow, caught in the river that's just running, and you before you know, you turn around, you're like, oh my God, I'm caught in this hole.
That's a dilemma. Your job is like to dispense the medicine unless you see a reason. You're like, oh no, we can't give this. But there's a lot of just that dilemmas for pharmacists, especially I'm imagining it's your business. You're invested in this, and you know that by not filling pain pills or whatever it is, it's going to hurt your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was part of those decisions. We have to look back and said, I could have made better decisions.
What would you have done? Talked to doctors, said no, refused. What would you?
There was a certain point where we call the office and get diagnosis and document all these things on prescription.
Yeah.
And we were told that's none of our business.
You didn't leave me alone. We're prescribing. You just fill it.
It's like, that's not your job, pharmacist. You have no right to ask what the patient's diagnosis is that I wrote on that prescription for.
Yeah.
So, but things have to take their time and make those changes.
So you're feeling in the middle of, you described it as a flowing river, but it sounds like you felt compromised.
Yeah, we knew that it's such a big problem that given my background as a compounding pharmacist and a functional medicine practitioner, I realized that I have part of my responsibility is to find a better solution to help people. Mm-hmm. And so that way they won't be so reliant on prescription medication or opiate. And I realized that we're just in a system where we're cycling and dispensing pills. And so I went on the whole journey of trying to find that solution.
When you thought about this solution, what did you want it to be?
I knew that it has to be something that is extremely safe but effective, and that the consumer overall would accept, and that the government would accept in terms of like making claim, because we wanted to have like a pain cream, and so we had to register with the FDA as an over-the-counter product, and we have to put in ingredients that are extremely safe and that would not leave any kind of liability or harm to anyone, but that is sometimes as effective as certain medications. And that was the goal, to create something like that.
So that people would get off pain pills or wouldn't need them as much.
Yes, correct.
It would treat their chronic pain or joints or whatever, the back or whatever.
If we can help somebody take one less pill or one less prescription a day, that would be a huge win.
So that was the clear goal, was to go away from opiate pain medications.
Yes.
What are some of the problems in your eyes of opiates, with opiates for patients?
Opiates are extremely great, powerful medication, and they're great for emergency use and acute use. If I break an arm or leg, I would want to get on some opiate to help manage my pain in that moment. But when my arm or my leg start to heal, I want to be able to get off.
Yeah.
For some people, they can't. Is it a genetic problem, or is it an emotional problem that they're attached to? Are they trying to hide an emotion or a stress by taking the opiate to numb down that conscious mind that they can't deal with a problem? And so they become dependent on that, and it's their habitual cycle to go through to deal with, numb down their body versus trying to resolve an emotional problem or a trauma or a shock or a childhood issue that they've been abused with. And so that's their way of escaping.
Using a pill, a pain pill, to treat an underlying unresolved whatever it is, more than just pain.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So did anything happen that accelerated your...
Super accelerated my path. Yeah.
I think this is one of the moments you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Definitely. I love to share this moment because I'm way over it now. Basically, I was at a anti-aging hormone conference with one of my doctor friend, and my staff calls me and say, hey, the DEA is in the pharmacy. They have a warrant. And so I looked through the camera on my phone, and I see there's probably like 10 DEA agents in the pharmacy.
Oh my gosh.
And
are they like a SWAT team with guns, or what did they look like? Basically,
it was a SWAT team with guns.
For real?
Yeah, it was a SWAT team with guns.
What were they doing in your pharmacy?
They got a warrant to raid the pharmacy to see if we did anything illegal, because our pharmacy was dispensing so much opiate, and we were like the biggest independent pharmacy on top of that in the valley. And but I wasn't there, and so my pharmacist kind of took care of all that. I flew back home immediately that night, and what I found was that they wanted records for the pharmacy for the last 3 years. So they came and took that day, so that way they can go through a record and see if we're dispensing any illegal drugs through the pharmacy. And
such as illegal drugs like what?
Opiates and like the Oxycontins and the oxycodones and.
How would you be? That's a controlled substance that you can be prescribed. You mean that you're selling them on the street?
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
They wanted to know if we're selling it on the street.
I see.
Or the prescription that we're dispensing are valid prescription.
Okay.
And so.
I assume that you were not doing anything wrong in that sense.
Yeah, correct. We didn't do anything illegal. Basically, It took them a year and a half to go through 3 years of record, and they came back and said, well, we wanted $101 million. You didn't do anything criminal, so we're not going to arrest you. But we wanted $101 million from you.
Why?
And what's going on? And so they're like, the prescription that you dispense, they were signed by electronic signature versus wet ink. We're like, oh, that's illegal. And so they said that's illegal. You have to sign it with a pen, not on a tablet. You can't do that on Schedule 2.
The prescriber had to do that.
Yes.
And you processed a bunch of those, and they're fining you. They're really shutting you down.
Yeah, they wanted $25,000 for every one of those mistakes that we made.
Oh my God.
So they went through and fined 3 years of record.
Did they have an agenda?
Their agenda was to shut down our pharmacy, is what their agenda is.
Is this like a Walgreens agenda or something?
We didn't realize that day when it happened, we were not the only pharmacy. It was an operation in the state of California to hit the top 25 independent pharmacy and raid them and take their record and try to shut them down that way.
Do you think so? This was like the big.
Yeah, but they didn't hit any of the.
Do you think this was
pharmacy.
Like the big chain pharmacies trying to shut you guys down?
We have no idea.
Is that what you're suggesting?
Basically, what we think is because
Crazy.
the independent pharmacy, we don't have lawyers, we don't have money.
You're vulnerable.
And we're the easiest target versus going into an operation like that.
So you think they wanted to make a political statement from a state thing. You don't think this was like a Walgreens, et cetera,
No.
operation where they're paying people off?
It was a state thing. I think it was because at the tail end, the top of the opiate crisis, they're saying, oh, so basically what we found out is
they wanted to blame you for it.
Yeah, what we find out is that Congress was pretty much blaming the DEA for the whole opiate crisis, saying that you didn't do enough.
Oh, I see.
You didn't do enough.
So this is their
So
political, look, here's what we are doing. Look at all these guys we shut down.
yes.
Here, we shut him down. There you go. Now we're doing something.
Yeah, so basically that was their operation, to show Congress that they're doing something against the opiate
Were
crisis.
you the opiate kingpin of Fresno?
No, there was multiple pharmacy that was dispensed.
That was a joke.
Okay. But basically,
I
we
assume
did
you
dispense
weren't.
a lot. No, we're not. But we did dispense a lot of opiate, and that's totally our fault too. And because we
I don't know.
didn't discriminate.
But I don't know that was your fault.
We should have better judgment. I mean, we just took prescription without.
Look, I feel so you didn't, they caught you on a technicality, right? So
Yes.
you're like looking back, well, maybe we should have had them sign with ink. Great. They could have found something else, right? There's so many stupid rules that they could have found something. If they wanted to shut you down,
Yeah.
They
So
probably could
basically,
have.
what happened was, we were in the medical clinic, and when we started with that medical clinic, they went from paper filing to electronic medical record.
oh, I know. I've been
So
through all of this silly.
Yeah, everybody has to start using their tablet and going into record and
Yeah.
documenting all that. And
Yeah.
so they started signing all their prescription. And we took it because we thought this is the
They
new,
started signing them electronically,
the
and you
doctor's
thought that
office.
was the way.
We thought that was the way.
So here's the irony. Just a couple weeks ago, at an ER I work in, you can no longer use paper and sign with ink. It has to be electronic.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So the very thing you got busted with is the only way that I can now prescribe Schedule II stuff. Opiates.
Correct.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's like come full circle of insanity.
And so yeah, they
Thanks,
they went
government.
through and said, okay, we went through every single prescription. If some prescription where the doctor, if they write for 1 or 2 or 3 prescription on a hard piece of paper, and
Yeah.
there's those little box that they have to check.
Oh, I know.
1, 2,
I've
or
had
3,
them
or
all
4.
returned.
And if they were not checked, we got fined $25,000 for each of those little box that was not
So
checked.
let me explain this to the people that are listening. When we write a prescription,
Correct.
like let's say I wrote Norco, a pain pill on there.
Yes.
You write the name of the pill, the dose, take 1 pill every 4 hours. Pharmacist, dispense number 10 or 15 of these, no refills. Here's my name and license number and all that stuff. There's extra boxes on the prescription where you have to fill out the number of prescriptions. So if there's 1 and you don't fill that box, they'll send it back or you get fined. Sometimes now they make me not only sign it and whatever, but then additionally write a second signature, date, and amount on there. Those have come back. If you have a prescription with like 3 of them, there's these little boxes on there that will say, number 1 through 25, 26 to 50, whatever. You got to check that. So there's all these extra stupid little boxes that if you don't check them, not only do you get in trouble, but this stuff bounces back to us. And I'm like, stupid paperwork.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, that's
But I've never heard, I didn't know that on your end, you get busted and fined for that. I mean, this makes sense now why these pharmacists are loony. They're nuts and Nazis about it. I'm like, these stupid pharmacists. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Sorry
absolutely,
to
it
you and
is.
your profession, but that's what I've said before, when it's really a government regulation that you can get fined for.
Yeah.
So I apologize to all of the pharmacists I called stupid for that
Yeah,
thing in the past.
even hospice prescription too. Part of that was we had a lot of hospice that we serve. Basically, hospice patient are the patient who are dying at nursing home or inside their home, and the doctor would give them a certain amount of opiates, morphines, and stuff to get them through the rest of their life.
Yeah, end of life
And so-
patient in pain.
So yeah, if we had those forms pre-filled out, and we didn't rewrite the full prescription, so the doctor authorized it. We have to rewrite what was pre-filled out again. And so if we didn't do any of those, then
you and I can talk about just the beyond mind-numbingly stupid rules that should all be burned to the ground. Like, it's insane, and it gets even worse in the opiate crisis. So you get raided by the FDA or by the DEA,
yeah.
and then fined $100 million. Is that what you said it was?
They wanted $101 million.
And so you're done, right? You're going to close.
Yeah, we were pretty much.
I assume you're not making $100 million a year.
We got a lawyer, so they said, well, we're willing to settle. We're willing to settle.
Okay.
We didn't do anything wrong. We're willing to settle for the amount that it costs for us to investigate you for the 2 year.
These losers.
And so it was $200,000.
Okay, so that's more reasonable.
Was what they wanted for their labor of investigation. And so we're like $200,000 or pay more lawyers and court fees. And so we settled $200,000. We paid off.
Yeah.
Our board of pharmacy put us on probation.
The California State Board put you on probation?
Yes,
okay.
The California State Board of Pharmacy put me on probation, put the pharmacy on probation, and part of the probation is that we have to hire an independent pharmacist, come in and make sure that we do all our paperwork right every single month, that we don't have any opiate lost or stolen or diverted in any way.
It's just going to cost you too much.
And then for the next 3 years, I have to do extra education, have a board inspector on top of that of every month come out. The board inspector comes in from the state of California, comes in and check my pharmacy every quarter.
So they put a bunch of hoops for you to jump through. So did you do it? What did you do?
We did, and
because you didn't want to quit. You were invested. You still wanted the business.
We did. Because we still have the business. We still had employees.
So you survived this.
We survived this. We comply everything.
Wow.
And then 2.5 years later, the DEA comes back.
Oh, great.
The DEA comes back, this time with a warrant and everything, and more guns and everything else, and comes back, and I was there. And so they're like, yeah, we're going to audit your pharmacy again for the last 3 years.
No problem. Go to your independent guy that you just get his notes.
Yeah, and so I'm like, yeah, fine. We don't do anything wrong. We make sure we cross a T and I. You can take all the paperwork you want. And so right before they were gonna take 3 year paperwork again, they said the supervisor came in and said, hey, can I talk to you? Took me in my office and said,
the DEA supervisor wants to cut a deal with you. You should have paid him off.
Right then and there, they said, make sure you turn off all your audio and video, because we have security cameras in the office and everywhere in the pharmacy.
This will be good.
They say make sure they went through and turn off everything, and they said you're not recording anything on your phone. Check your phone and everything, and then they said I'll make a deal with you.
This is a Trump. This is like a Trump thing.
If you sign off this paper saying that you're gonna give away your right to dispense opiate, which is your Schedule 2, that's the opiate, the Adderalls, and the ADD meds for
controlled
the kids,
substances,
then we'll leave you alone. But if you don't sign this today, we are going to go comb through your paperwork and fine you $65,000 for every single mistake that you make.
So they're just making
and then we're going to put you out of business.
They're making you a scapegoat again.
So I'm like, oh, great. You mean I don't have to dispense opiate anymore? I'll sign it any day.
You liked that deal.
Yeah, because we didn't want to dispense
you didn't like it either. But that was probably a significant part of your business, though.
The first part of the raid was, and then after the probation and everything, we didn't dispense any more opiate.
So you were
We
already
just
not
changed our
doing it.
business.
So this
we-
was a
we
win. That's
didn't
perfect for
dispense
you.
any Schedule 2. We only dispensed like your Tylenol with codeine, the
Yeah.
3 and 4s and stuff like that. And we were dispensing like the ADD meds for the kids
Yeah.
in the clinics and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and that's fine. But yeah, we just cut down everything to like a significantly small amount
So
that
you're like,
we
this
wouldn't
is
like.
a great deal
Yeah.
for you.
So I'm thinking, hey, if I can have an excuse to say I can't dispense or order any Schedule 2, then I don't need to dispense it.
Yeah.
So I signed that. A week later, I got
Sounds
letters.
like they want to shut you down.
I got
buddy.
letters from the insurance. So yeah, they left after I signed the paperwork. They left, didn't take any of my record. A week later, I got notice from the insurance saying that they're gonna cancel my policy, my ability to bill insurance, because I no longer dispense Schedule 2 medication.
What insurance? Blue Cross?
Basically, all the insurance, all the big insurance, because they're saying
Why do they
that
care?
they want you to dispense opiate. They said that you're not a full pharmacy, and you're not dispensing opiate.
Why wouldn't they just do what you can do? Here, we do blood pressure pills. Great, yeah, we'll do that.
They won't.
Sounds like a conspiracy.
It is probably a big one, but basically what happened is that quickly we found out that the DEA sent out notice to all the insurance saying that this pharmacy no longer dispense Schedule 2 and cannot bill Schedule 2, and then in return the insurance came and said that we're going to drop your
Somebody
contract.
wanted you down. Somebody wanted you closed.
We're going to drop your contract in 90 days.
Yeah.
So what happened was a lot of our clients in our pharmacies are doctors and lawyers and politicians in the community, and they're like, this is ridiculous. So they contact our congressman, and congressman call the DA.
Who was the congressman? Your state, California, or your...
Yeah, state of California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So called the DEA office and said, you can't, what are you guys doing? Why are you taking out our independent pharmacy? And they did that to the same 25 pharmacy.
They did it to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went through the top 25
That's just what they
pharmacy
wanted
and went
to do, to
through the same thing.
sacrifice
same
you
operation.
to Congress. Yeah.
And so they said, we didn't want you to take out the independent pharmacy, and you need to make right with them, because that's just basically abuse.
Right.
And so they said, all right, well, we'll fix it with them. So they called me and had a meeting in their office saying, how do we resolve this?
$200,000 plus.
And so basically I said, I didn't realize that when I signed that paperwork that I would lose all my contract and I can't bill anymore. So they said, yeah, you can we're not going to give you back your signature that you basically crossed out your signature that you signed off that paperwork, but you can reapply, and then we'll decide if we're going to give you your license back, your Schedule 2 part of your license.
Sure.
And it wasn't like very compromising. It was like, so is that something that you're going to give it back? They're like, no, we don't know. You need to apply. And so
I don't get it.
It was just politics, just saying, oh,
Sounds like
Mr.
politics.
Congressman, yeah. Well.
So what happened in the end?
In the end is that we...
Or do you still have this pharmacy?
No, we pretty much sold the pharmacy for $25,000. And the board of pharmacy wouldn't even let us sell the pharmacy for $25,000. They wanted us to pretty much go out of business.
Where did this come in?
That was after the first raid. It was like, this is bull. This is a bunch of crap. We're in a system where we're obliged to dispense opiate, and opiate aren't really the true key to help people resolve their pain. And so I went on this whole journey of trying to find what is energy medicine, what is compassion, what is love, and what is the technology of radionics and PMF technology and red light therapy, and how do we put all of that together and find something that is truly effective to help people relieve their aches and pain, and find that unconditional love and peace in their heart, so that way their conscious mind will changes how they interpret the intensity of the pain. So it was more of the mind-body psychosomatic part of the pain that we went after, versus trying to say, hey, this is your pain, this is the mechanism on the physical level. We're just not trying to block their nerve or reduce the inflammation or cause muscle relaxant type of situation like regular pain pills.
So you were a pharmacist, you owned this pharmacy for years. You're getting shut down by the DEA, but you still want to help people and you want to get them off pain pills. And so you start on this journey, as you called it, to explore other ways to come up with something that could help people. Where would you even start? You're a pharmacist. You know pills and creams, and you know how to compound things and mix them and come up with stuff.
Yeah, it's
How did you come up with this?
The story was really, part of that journey was how my wife ended up in Kaiser emergency room, paralyzed from the neck down, and within 6 hours, she walked out of that hospital not paralyzed. And it was how we can use technology, PMF, TENS, intention, belief, love, compassion, really all that in that what we would categorize as placebo effect is what we discussed, and how powerful that can be with technology, and change the course of what had happened to her. And so that's kind of how I went and started studying about biofeedback, about intention, about energy medicine, how acupuncturists work, the meridians and the meridian channels, the chakras, the auras, and how does all that belief in every culture are being used in medical system, and how can we incorporate that together in something simple.
Okay. Can I get her thoughts on this?
Yes.
She happens to be right here in the live studio audience with us. Aline, do you remember that day?
Yeah, very vividly.
Tell me what you remember.
I remember getting up to go work. I opened Target. I work from 9 to 5 at Target Corporation.
You're a pharmacist.
I am a pharmacist. I work at Target. I go to work. I open the pharmacy with a tech, so me and a tech. I get a headache because I used to have migraine. I have migraines, look like migraine, and I feel like my head just hurt. So I told my tech, hey, I'm going to go, my head, I'm having a headache, and I feel nauseous. So I call my supervisor and say, I don't feel good. Please look for replacement for me.
It felt like a migraine initially?
Yeah, it feels nauseous. It feels like almost like I have a headache here in the back, and I feel nauseous, like almost like migraine, but kind of like pregnancy, kind of like nauseous.
Okay.
But it's like really pounding. I can't lift my head up. So I told him, you know what? Call my husband. So I call him, and I call my husband. Maybe if I don't feel good, if their replacement come, a pharmacist replacement come, he might have to come pick me up because I'm working at the change. I won't be able to drive home. And she go, okay. So I give the number. She worked with me for 5 years. I've been with Target for a long time. So she and I was like work for each other like 5 years. So she know my husband. I said, I'm gonna sit in the corner. I'm gonna sit right at the corner. If you need a prescription verified, call me because I can't stand up. And I'll verify prescription. I'll wait for a pharmacist to come, to relieve me. And that was the last thing I remember. And
So you must have passed out or something.
And then when I woke up, I was in Kaiser emergency room.
And when you woke up, what did you feel?
I feel fine. I'm like, why am I here?
Did you wake up after he had done his thing, or did you wake up and you
just
couldn't
got up.
move?
I was moving. I was moving my head. To me, I was moving because I was fine. I didn't know why I was in the emergency room because I woke up.
But he's saying, and everybody else was saying, you couldn't move your arms and legs and feel them.
Correct. But to me, I was moving it.
In her head,
In my head.
you didn't But so you weren't aware that you couldn't.
No,
you didn't
I
have
was not
control
aware.
Over your
No,
extremities,
I was not aware. I was like, to me, I was fine because I'm talking, and I can move my neck. You know what I mean?
Bizarre.
I can move this part up. That's why I don't feel anything. I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah.
You know, when he come, I'm like, oh, why? You know, I want to go home.
So not only did you not feel the numbness or inability to move, but then you were also confused that you weren't even aware of that.
No, I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't like, and then so the test, when he come, I'm like, oh, come pick me up, come here. I'm like, you know what I mean? Oh, you come, because I see him, I'm like, oh, okay. Because I can talk, I see, when they ask me, when I see the emergency also ask me what happened, do I know what happened, what's going on? I told him exactly what I do in the morning, drive my kid to school, open my Target pharmacy, talk to my tech. I didn't have, you know what I mean?
Did you still have the headache?
No.
So when you got there, the headache was gone.
Gone.
Did they give you medicine for the headache, or did that just go away?
No, they didn't give me anything.
So the headache just went away. You thought you were fine, but you weren't moving.
Everything was gone.
Do you remember the CAT scans and all that, the MRI?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you still felt you were fine the whole time.
No, I was, when I see him, I thought I was fine until there come and the doctor said, okay. I said, okay, I want to go home. That's the first thing I say. I'm fine. I want to go home, right? I probably have migraine. I want to go home. The doctor said, okay. So he's tested me. He's like, okay, can you squeeze my finger? I'm like, yeah, I'm squeezing it. He go, well, can you squeeze tighter? I go, yeah, I am. But to me, I feel like I'm, you know what I mean? Because I didn't see my hand, because they both were holding my hand. I go, can you squeeze
And
both?
she wasn't moving them at all?
Not at all.
Nothing.
But to me, I was. Like I say, I was like...
This is
in her
interesting.
head.
In my head, I was.
She thought
you know
she was moving.
In my head, I thought I was moving.
Okay.
And he go, okay, wiggle your toe. I go, I am, right? And he go, okay, lift up your feet. Sure. When I tried to lift up, I couldn't lift up. That's when I'm like, oh my...
Okay, so you couldn't lift your feet up,
that's
and
when
then you realized...
like, you know, and I realized I could...
Did you freak out?
Oh, heck yeah. No, and then I stopped trying to move my hand, and I'm like, so I look over, because I didn't pay attention to my hand. So then I started look over. I tried to lift my hand. I couldn't lift my hand. And I tried to lift my butt. I could not lift. That's when I'm like, oh, what?
So you started to probably panic.
Panic. Yeah, that's what I'm like. I panicked.
And then he's like, I'm going to do MF? PMF. You remember that?
Yes.
The shocks?
Yeah, I don't know.
What did you experience when he was doing that?
Nothing.
You're just like laying there on your side, and he's going up and down for 3 hours and shocking you. Did you feel like the shocks?
Mm-mm.
You didn't feel any of it?
I didn't feel anything.
And then what happened? When did you like just get up, sit up?
When I feel, that's the trip out part, okay? When he was doing that, I didn't feel anything. I didn't even know he was like put that high to scrub my back, right? And suddenly I feel because I'm always in my head like, oh my God, please don't let me, please let me walk right. I'm praying my head, like literally, God, I have 4 kids, you know, who's gonna take care of my kids. I'm a mom. It was just everything go in my head, and I'm always trying to move my hand. I couldn't move, and I tried always like laying there, try to lift my feet and hand just to see if I can move on my body.
Yeah.
I could not move, but I keep trying, and then suddenly, a few hours later, he do that. I was move my hand. I'm like, wait, I feel my toe moving. I feel it. So I'm like, I look at my toe and I see him moving. I told him, I feel my toe moving. I told him, like, I feel my toe moving, right? And he's like, oh, good. So he continued it. And I'm like, and later I go, oh, I feel my finger. And I can feel my finger. And I look, this time I look, because last time I didn't look at my finger, but in my head I was, right? So this time I make sure I look at my finger. And I can see my finger moving.
Yeah.
I can see my toe moving. And then suddenly I just feel a rush of like, I wouldn't say water. I just feel a rush of like thing from my head to my gosh. I'm like, oh, what? That's weird, right?
And then you were better.
Yeah, and I'm like, I move my hand, I'm like, oh, I can move. I just sit up, like literally, like there's no like second, like I have to wait for my hand, my feet, you know, to like go back. I just like move my shoulder and I sit up, go. Oh,
and then you were better.
Yeah, and I told him I need to go pee, and we went. And then the thing is, I told him I want to go home. And I just want to get out. I just want to get out because they were going to do my spinal tap. They were going to admit me. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I told him I want to go home. And the doctor come in and say, well, we can't let you go home. We already have a bed. We're waiting for you. It's clear for you. I go, no, I don't want to stay.
You just wanted to get out of there.
And he told me, well, if you can walk from where your bed is to the front desk and back, then we'll let you go. I go, okay. Because I like, just like normal, like, for me to be paralyzed, like nothing happened. It was just like that 5 hours, like, I get up, I walked out, and I walked back.
Yeah.
And he landed, released me. But the problem, the drawback is that I lose short-term memory for a year.
For a year?
For a year.
But that's gone now, and now
Yeah,
you're
that's gone
fine.
now, yeah.
So there's a whole year where you don't even remember any of it?
No, short-term, like, when I do something the day or two, I don't remember. Like,
Do you remember a week later?
Yeah, a week or two later, but I can't remember that moment, that day. Like, I'm like, what did I do yesterday? Or I kind of like can't recall.
But now your short-term memory is back.
Yeah. But it's that 1 year, I can't recall like what happened that last 2 days. Or he'll tell me what to do. Like, I do something and I'm like, oh, did I do that already? Like, I have really...
So what did the doctors say?
They don't know.
They had her visit the neurologist 3 days straight after that.
Yeah, it's all going to be normal.
Yeah.
I just tell you what the results will be. Every test will be normal.
Yeah. Like I say, now I appreciate my hand, my feet. So when I feel a little bit numb, I'm like this. I don't like really look, because when I was, like I say, I was in emergency. I didn't really pay attention to my finger. In my head, I was moving. I was talking.
So you feel like this was a viral thing and he fixed you and just what he said?
Yeah. To me, I don't know what it is, but as long as he's fixed me, I'm happy. I'm walking, with that.
All you know is that you got better.
Mm-hmm. And then with the 10 unit, he was just doing it like constantly, and everything was like, it was just like.
So it sounds like what you had, you had a migraine in the beginning.
It's not migraine. I have migraine in my life. I know what migraine is like.
Oh, the headache was not a migraine when you were at work?
Because I know migraine. I know what migraine is, but that was not migraine. If I knew that was migraine, I would tell him I have migraine. I would take my migraine medication.
So it was a different headache.
Yeah, it was different headache.
And the headache went away on its own.
Yeah, it's just like when I woke up in the hospital, it was gone.
So you had a headache, and then afterwards, and you were a little confused, but then you were still a little confused about feeling your body, but you were apparently numb and paralyzed from here down, but still with this.
Oh, yeah.
So, when I think about a stroke, doing a CAT scan and an MRI for a stroke, usually people have weakness on one side, not both. So that doesn't fit, doesn't sound like a stroke. You could certainly have a cervical spine injury and have your spinal cord transected, which is permanent. People don't recover from that. And that one, they are like this from there down. But that's not, a TENS unit is not going to reattach your spinal cord. So I'm not aware of any organic neurologic explanation for your thing. It makes me ask questions of, they talk about, like conversion disorder and these kind of psychiatric stuff that people experience where treating the mind in whatever way, that makes sense to me. I'm skeptical that there was any significant damage to your nervous system. You're walking, like you're recovered and better.
Definitely there wasn't physical injury at all.
What was the injury? You think it was mental?
I think it was a viral.
Well, that would be physical. I would call a viral thing, and they're physical.
But not in terms of like physical trauma?
But she didn't have a fever.
No.
Usually a viral encephalitis or meningitis, people are going to have a fever. They're going to appear a little sick. So
I was normal. Like, I was a normal mom. Go to work, open the pharmacy, was happy. Every day I do work.
You didn't have you didn't feel overwhelmingly stressed or anything like that, yeah?
No, not at all. That's why
no
I'm saying,
apparent cause to it.
I had, like I say, no apparent cause. That's why I was like, this is weird. I have a headache, and that's why I said I wasn't like really like shutting down. I could have shut the pharmacy and go if I really think I have migraine. So I thought it was just a regular headache. So I said I'm gonna sit down and wait. If I knew this would happen, I would call him right away. But I say, okay, I'm gonna sit down. I told the tech, I sit down and just call me. I'll verify prescription because I still function. I still know what I'm doing. And But then the next day I woke up, I was in the Kaiser. And that was like, and I know when the doctor asked me, the nurse asked me what my name, my address,
Yeah.
I told them when I married, where I married.
You knew all that stuff. You had no long-term memory.
I knew all of it.
being
They asked what
affected.
my kid name was. I
Yeah.
knew all of it. That's
Yeah.
the thing. And
So the when people have Alzheimer's or dementia, they have great long-term memory. They can tell you what they did when they were a kid. They can tell you when they got married and da-da-da-da. But they don't have short-term memory. That is the hallmark of dementia and Alzheimer's is you can't form short-term memory. And so they forget where their keys are.
Yeah.
They get in the car and drive. They don't remember where they were going.
that's
like
me. The
all
first
of these
year.
kind of things.
Yeah.
But for you to have that for a temporary period of a year, it almost sounds like Hollywood amnesia, which isn't really a thing. You know, like it's not. I don't mean to offend you.
No,
with that,
trust me,
But like,
I-
I'm glad you don't have dementia and your short-term memory has returned. Other like medical things we would think of. Sometimes people have complex migraines and they do have neurologic symptoms to them that affects their speech or their face or whatever. You can have a little bit of a seizure and have Todd's paralysis, or you have a seizure and it results in temporary paralysis, but it goes away and resolves. So these are some of the things that are, you know, Western, that are medically kind of documented things. But it really makes me wonder about conversion, mind stuff, psychiatric. And it's intriguing.
Like
I want to see your records.
Like I say.
I want to see the MRI. I want to see what the doctor said. I want to see what the bottom line diagnosis was.
I probably can track because Kaiser still have it because they have my record. It's Kaiser. I could probably pull
Be
that.
interesting
Yeah.
to look
Yeah.
at it and see what they said.
But I'm just telling you, I don't. Even still today, 5 years
call them up right
later,
now.
I still don't really want to visit that situation.
Use your medical
Let
degree.
me. This is. But here's. I want to talk about this in a second. But I want to get into, for both of you, the and thank you for being a guest. By the way, this is the first time we've done this in the audience. This is great. I'm very thankful that you are sharing this because this is a moment. This is one of the biggest moments for both of you and your family of four. And when you were talking about it, and you were talking about the gravity of this moment, you had your pharmacy. You're being raided by the DEA, and your wife, your partner, the mother of your children, is now apparently paralyzed. Here you are in this moment where you are powerless and probably terrified. I couldn't imagine, like you had some of those thoughts too. What about the kids? Like when you had this second where you're like, I can't move my legs. What about the kids? And then out of this moment, you said, I'm going to try anything, do what some of the stuff that I know how to do. And you did something that apparently helped. Talk to me about that moment, like what you were feeling in that moment. It sounds like it was around this spinal tap and all of that. What did you remember that? What did that feel like?
Yeah, it was, my leg was weak, for sure. I was trying to hold on and think, if a miracle were to ever happen, it should happen now, and it is up to me to help manifest this and help my wife. And I have to go beyond what the doctor was able to provide and convince them to say, let me work on her. And if you don't agree, you don't have to be in this room. Just walk out.
Because they'd done whatever they could, and she was still like this. I don't think what you were doing was harmful. I wouldn't have stopped you.
Correct. I told them specifically what I was going to do, that it was non-invasive. I was just going to have this energy device, and I'm just going to shock along her meridian channels and her points, acupuncture points, just to get her energy back into her.
When you were in that moment of, I'm going to call that powerlessness,
Yes.
would you agree? Did you feel that way and you were scared?
Absolutely, because what happened is I had to, I would say, channel higher power. And channeling that higher power was channeling Dr. Joe Dispenza and my friend Harry Massey, who is the inventor of that device.
That's where you went for hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I told myself, if anything in terms of energy and tension or miracle is to happen, it has to happen now. So
that was a traumatic moment for you. That was big.
it was. And the key was that we had a good resolution out of it. So it wasn't like a trauma. It was a intention, a purpose that led us to our path, our journey as to where we are today.
Do you feel like anything from that moment in a negative way moved forward, or because it got better, then it wasn't traumatic?
It wasn't traumatic.
Because she got better.
Yes, yes.
But you were in a
Usually,
space for a little bit where that
That's
could have been
extremely stressful.
Yeah.
Yes. The way we define shock and trauma is that would have a negative effect for people to move forward, or
Yeah.
having the inability to
Yeah.
move forward, is that it happened all of a sudden. They didn't have a solution to it. Their body would need to go into a fight and flight state. So
Yeah.
that way they can survive that moment. So adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol all shot up. Then they survive that exact moment in time, or that period of time. Then when they're in their parasympathetic state, their rest state, did they have a solution to that? Did it resolve? If not, if they don't, then their conscious mind say, wait, it hasn't been resolved yet, just like PTSD type of situation.
Yeah.
Or abuse or rape.
So yours was resolved, so
Yes.
then that you went through the cycle and then
Correct.
you let it go.
For a lot of people, they couldn't complete that cycle, and that's where they get into the problem of addiction.
Yeah, you get stuck.
Pain.
I agree with you on that. Did you feel traumatized by that? Do you feel like you took anything negative forward?
Oh yeah.
How so?
Still today I talk about it. I still like feel chill. I don't know, emotionally I still can't believe it. Still can't let go. I mean, sometimes I just don't want to hear it. Like it wasn't me.
But it's scary.
Yeah, it wasn't me. But then in another way, that's the negative, is that when I hear something like somebody say, "Oh, I can't move," something, it flashback. I got that flashback that I was laying in the hospital, can't move.
What triggers that?
When people say, "Oh, I can't move," or I'm like numbness, I feel numbness or something in the body, like it just flashback right where I was.
When
like,
people say that, that brings you back to your time where you felt
my
that way.
time when I was
And you feel what?
scared,
Terrified.
hopeless, terrified. You know, you have kids.
So
you're a mom.
It sounds like you do have some trauma from that. He doesn't.
Yeah, that's why I use the cream, just to help. Sometimes when people say
What does the cream do for you?
just calm. It's give me calm down.
You rub it on your
my
heart, your
and,
chest?
my back, my neck, my neck and heart. It just made me calm down.
So you don't treat pain, you're
Yeah.
calming yourself down. You're kind of using it to chill out the
Yeah, I don't-
sympathetics,
Yeah,
get that adrenaline down.
yeah. So when people say something like that, it still like made me think back. Like I could still picture vividly that I'm laying there and say, "What happened? Oh my God, I have
This is-
kids. I have this."
This is really good. This is really good stuff. Okay, I want to talk about this for a minute. You used a lot of words with this. I don't know what most of them mean. Meridians and energies and homeopathic-y whatevers. I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah.
But this is what I think about pain. I absolutely align with you on a bigger picture of human well-being, people being happy. Two, I've prescribed more pain pills than I ever want to admit to in 15 years or whatever I've been doing this. My practice has evolved. Now I definitely prescribe less than before. When it comes to pain, especially chronic pain, such a subjective thing. If people find something that works, like a cream that has all of these ideas that you're putting into it and they believe it and it works for them, great. So I'm fine holding this here and saying, hey, if you have chronic pain and this makes sense to you, give it a try. And if it works, use it. Like I have no problem saying that. Pain pills, they're a problem. We talk about this too long. I think you said it. If break your arm, you want opiates. Like, I'm in the ER. I see people who have kidney stones. It's one of the worst pains there is, more than childbirth. They say. My women who have had kids say, when they've had kidney stones, they say the kidney stones are worse. But actually, Toradol, a non-opiate, works really well. But my point is, opiates there is a use for them, for sure.
Yes.
I am very skeptical of using them for chronic pain, that really helps people in the long run. That's hard. If somebody gets their gallbladder out, right, gets surgery, this is sore afterwards, typically we give them pain pills. There's a percent of people, let's say 10%, that are going to get hooked on that. So when it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after surgery, and they should be coming off of them, they say their pain's not better. Some of them, maybe it is pain, but then it's like you get into addiction, you get into all this stuff, it gets messy. They're not perfect. Again, in a Western understanding of the mind and pain, and I absolutely think there are ways your body gives you signals. And with chronic pain, there's a signal from your body of the experience of whatever, just uncomfortable sensation from your knee or your back or your whatever. But it doesn't mean that there's ongoing damage. It's certainly not life-threatening. It's whatever. And so I align with you where one of the therapies for managing chronic pain is to reinterpret what those signals mean. They don't mean fight or flight. They don't mean that your body is in jeopardy of being eaten by a bear. You don't need to activate that fight or flight response. And so definitely open to ways to reinterpret that, to tap into more powerful feelings in the mind and whatever. So if your cream does that, more power to you. Let me ask you a question. This is going to be a poignant question. You don't have to answer this. Is this a placebo?
If it is the placebo, that's what the placebo is our intention, our belief in terms of our own body to heal itself and to regenerate itself or to lower its pain intensity. Then that's our inherent system of healing inside our body without depending on drugs. If we give someone a cream, a pill, and if they have that extra 1% chance to move forward or reduce their pain intensity, then we're giving them that hope to be able to do that. But from our experience in terms of seeing how this work at events, at our customers' feedback, it's a pretty powerful placebo effect. More powerful than your normal creams or lotions or potion that you
Is it? Have you done some studies on it?
Not official public type of studies. We were actually, this whole thing is funded by our family money. Whatever
As
we
you
save,
transitioned from the shutdown pharmacy to
whatever we save, we sold our house, we sold a car, we have a buy one give one to our veteran, and that was our whole thing out of this was how do we align ourselves and create a better cause, a better passion, so that way we can wake up every day. And so,
purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we have a buy one give one to veteran, and it's all funded by our money, whatever we had. And so what happened to us was that we met a veteran who the cream traumatically helped him.
Dramatically improve pain.
Helped him.
A veteran from what war? Do you remember? I don't know. Gulf War.
From the Gulf War.
Yeah.
And he's a special op ranger, and he has lost sensation to his finger, has a lot of pain in it, and he used the cream for a couple weeks, and it helped him. And it just happened that it helped him so much that he was already involved in a study in Coronado Island VA system somewhere down there,
San
down a little
Diego,
bit south.
yeah.
And they were using alternative therapies like CBD oils and stuff to see how much it's going to help with pain.
Mm-hmm.
And the result that they were looking for was good, but it wasn't like exactly what they were looking for. And so with his experience with the cream, he asked us to give them 30 placebo and 30 of the imprinted cream.
Mm-hmm.
2 different lot in a blind study, handed it over to them. I didn't tell them what lot was what.
Mm-hmm.
They handed out to 60 patients, follow up with the patient in 30 days, and they said one of the lot didn't work at all. Even the placebo was stronger than one of the lot. But the other lot has tremendous effect that we would like to see if we can do.
So you have some kind of data on it.
Yes, but it's not published.
Oh, I was going to say, you should send it to me.
It's not published. And so they said, we'll put you on our board to get a commission to study the cream at a larger clinical
So maybe
trial.
it can be studied.
And so I'm like, great. I didn't have to spend money, and
So
it's going to be done that way.
So that's
but-
hopeful. So I want to, just for a minute, talk about the dilemma of the placebo effect
Yes.
for the audience. So to take the cream and give an example. So the placebo effect would be taking the cream. God, I'm not sure what the placebo effect would be, because would you use the same? It answers the question, is it the cream? Or is it the belief in the cream that is resulting in people's improvements with their pain? And I'm going to play both sides. So the one side that you articulated that I think makes an argument is, look, if this helps somebody, who cares? So what? Like, especially, and I'm sympathetic to this, having prescribed so many opiates, like I said before, where it's like, if this gets somebody off of pain pills, it's worth it, even if that's one in whatever. So I support that part of it. But then there's the other side of it, which is, gosh, there's so much garbage out there. There's so many people selling snake oil.
Yep.
And people have genuine hopes, just like you had hopes when you were laying in that bed, that matter. And I hate to see unfulfilled promises. Now when it comes to pain, you got to try things and figure it out. That's just the nature of the beast with chronic pain.
Yes, it doesn't always work for
From
everybody.
a TENS unit
everything.
and pills to exercise and eating and whatever. Like, it really is an individual experimental thing. So I think that can fit in there. But there is a side, too, that's like, there are empty promises and snakes and, like, I hate seeing people getting taken advantage of. And there's some stuff that does nothing.
Yep.
Right? Placebo at least can potentially do something. Thank you for telling your story.
Of course.
I appreciate that, and for having a little dialogue about it. We have the tradition here of having the guest look right at that camera and close the show. Say whatever you want to say. So hang on. So your cream. So your cream is called Mind Body Matrix,
Yes.
and people can buy this where?
They can buy it at our website. And
What's your website?
mindbodymatrix.com, and for every purchase of the 4 ounce, we give one to a veteran. But any veteran in the United States can really go to our website and click on the veteran link and register, and then we just automatically send them a free pain cream.
That's cool. So they can find more out about you and the cream at mindbodymatrix.com.
Correct.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks,
Why don't you-
Larry.
Why don't you take us home?
I believe that in order for us to change and transform our health, we have to have a way to align our mind, our body, and our spirit. So that way we can find that state of unconditional love and peace inside to be able to move forward. And that's where there's the shift that's going on in all of medicine, and we're hoping to be part of that journey for everybody.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe to the show on the YouTube channel or Apple Podcasts. If you have a moment or know someone who does, please reach out to me, Dr. Larry Burchett, on social media, and we will see you next time.
So I went to Burning Man, and the last night I was there, I was wearing my wedding dress that I had shredded and used as a costume. I decided to take it to the temple and burn it, and when I was there, I cried over it, and that was the moment I decided to leave my marriage.